Hey, Nerdy Steve here, and today I'm gonna do a quick walkthrough of a best of three mono white standard list, and then we're gonna play some games, and let's see how it goes. So, what's interesting about mono white in the current standard is we don't really have a lot of one drops, and how that is going to inform your gameplay is you really need to be as aggressive as you possibly can. Otherwise, the appeal of mono white, which is in the games as early as you possibly can, isn't really there. So that's also going to inform a lot of your mulligans as well, and how I made this deck. So we have our two one drops, which are Hopeful Initiate and Usher of the Fallen, and we need those to apply somewhat early pressure. And ideally, you want a creature that you can Luminarch Aspirant on turn two, if you want to do that, right? And also, there are a lot of enchantments and artifacts that are relevant in Standard right now. And so the Initiate's ability to interact with those is much more relevant than you might think. And that's always useful to keep in mind because a lot of people do not use the Hopeful Initiate as much as they should be. With our two drops, we have Thalia, which is really, really good because as an aggressive deck, you want to be able to apply your pressure while make your opponent on a much slower, or making them play more slowly than they usually would, right? And Thalia is really good because with cards like Meat Hook Massacre and the Fable of the Mirror Breaker, right? There are a lot of really relevant non-creature spells that can hurt you, and like with runes as well. And so Thalia putting pressure on their mana while putting a relevant body on the board is really, really important. Sungold Sentinel is here because there's been a lot of rise on the Velomachus Reanimator decks, which plays spells and reanimates spells from the graveyard. So having some type of interaction there to remove it is really, really important because otherwise that deck can really, really overwhelm you very quickly. Luminarch Aspirant is one of the most powerful cards in the set, or in standard and in this deck, because it gives you the +1/+1 counter every turn. It makes combat much more difficult for your opponent and much more favorable to you than it normally would, right? So it's possibly the reason to play mono white right now. We have Intrepid Adversary, which is a 3/1 lifelinker, which is relevant in a lot of different aggro matchups, and later in the game it allows you to use your mana, which is something that this particular version of mono white isn't really good at doing. And so it's a very, very big threat at all points in the game, which we really, really need. Giada is a fun choice for me because I like her. She's an evasive threat, right? And she does an interesting thing where sometimes she can pump out Legion Angel on the third turn, and having like all these really big flyers out is another way to win, right? We have Brutal Cathar, which is you don't have a lot of interaction in this deck, and that is possibly one of the downsides to the deck, right? And so you specifically all of our interaction is basically at 3 mana. So we have Brutal Cathar and Skyclave Apparition, which can get rid of opposing creatures or other permanents, right? We have Elite Spellbinder with Thalia, allow us to tax our opponent's cards. And Elite Spellbinder allows you to pick very specific opportunities and cards to that helps you navigate your game plan going forward. Then we have Reidane, which like Thalia, you can sense part of the theme of what makes this deck good is that it can tax your opponent's different cards. And so Reidane makes your opponent's Meat Hook Massacres or other forms of mass removal or expensive planeswalkers like Lolth and the Wanderer cost 2 more mana, and hopefully you have gotten your opponent to such a low life total or have killed them so that they can't ever even cast those spells, right? And then we have Adeline, which is just like Luminarch Aspirant. Adeline really increases your clock. Adds a lot of threats to your board, and is one of the reasons why this deck is so good, right? You can play Adeline, and then all of a sudden, your one creature becomes two, and then three on your first attack, right? And then Guardian Faith is something that I like because it allows you to. Again, this deck doesn't have a lot of interaction, and so Guardian Faith is a very reactive card against opposing Meat Hook Massacres or other board wipes. And I like being able to plan my gameplay around it, and maybe to phase out a bunch of creatures and then be able to attack for lethal when your opponent thought they were getting a board wipe, right? Then I have the Wandering Emperor, which is a very powerful card, and maybe not. It's a card I go back and forth on in this deck. It's really good in a lot of specific circumstances, and can turn combat into an even more um difficult thing for your opponent to consider. And it's one of our few ways to remove maybe an opposing Goldspan Dragon and other creatures. And it's just a card I like. And then we have Legion Angel, which, is a one card threat that turns into four, right? And there's the little cute combo with Giada that I like. If we go into the sideboard, we have three portable holes, which, against, you're going to want to board in against maybe more aggressive decks so you don't necessarily fall behind. Like, there's the mono green decks where mono green is a deck that, right, they're 2 mana. They have 3/3s. They have really big threats, really early down. And if you can get a portable hole, it stops you from having to be on the defensive, right? Sungold Sentinel is again there for more graveyard-oriented decks where you need to interact with them. Valorous Stance is more removal for a Goldspan Dragon. Reidane for the more controlly decks. Brutal Cathar, again, if you want to and Skyclave Apparition for more aggressive decks where you need to get rid of creatures. Wandering Emperor, the same thing. And then, Guardian Faith for when you need to be more reactive. All right, and now let's go for some gameplay. So this is a hand that, one thing to tell you before is we don't have a lot of early drops, right? So we're going to want to mulligan this, otherwise we're just not doing anything. This hand is much better, and I think we can get rid of the Intrepid Adversary, right? And the reason is we have a turn 1 play, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4. So we don't need this. And I think Intrepid Adversary is better. I mean, isn't better than the Wandering Emperor. Though, if we don't draw a land, Intrepid Adversary is better. But I'm doing that. That's my game plan. So we'll stick to it. And hope it works out that way. This is also another very interesting point where I don't even know what is the correct line, even after playing this deck a lot, is on turn 2, what do we target with our Luminarch Aspirant, right? Let's hope our opponent doesn't counter it, because that would be terrible. Because if we target this, it deals more damage here, but then we don't get to train it next turn. I think I'm going to target the Luminarch Aspirant here, though, because our opponent's going to probably block and sack anyway. So the extra damage doesn't matter, right? So next turn, we're going to be able to target Luminarch Aspirant and then get the +1/+1 counter on the Hopeful Initiate. If we didn't do that, then the Initiate wouldn't necessarily get the counter. Topiary Stomper cannot block until our opponent has 7 more lands. So we're good. We're going to Adeline here. Luminarch target itself. Get to attack. Good. Yasharn. 1, 2, 3. All right. So now we get to Elite Spellbinder, and this now we have more information to play with. We want to get rid of the Elspeth, but if we do this, okay, that makes our opponent block there. That's good. The problem here is they can still Elspeth and give the Topiary Stomper +1 like lifelink, which is a little problematic. Oh, they're gonna minus? Okay.
I'll be your shield.
Oh. So now that has a shield counter. Alright. This is pretty hot. I think we do that. Is it lethal? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh. Because so they're gonna block the Adeline and probably block the Luminarch Aspirant, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The other Adeline token is 6. Then I think we deal 10, so I don't think we can deal lethal to our opponent. I don't know if I want to attack with everything. Maybe I do. I'm not, obviously. Maybe they'll double block here? Okay, beautiful. We just give the Adeline first strike. And it won't die in combat. Good. And now we have killed Elspeth.
Once I've rested, I'll be back.
And I don't think we have to worry about anything. Okay. Thank God. Valorous Stance seems decent here because it kills our opponent's creatures. I don't know if we have to worry about mass removal, so I can take out the Guardian Faith. Interesting. I think the Skyclave Apparition seems like it will be decent here because of the Topiary and the Yasharn. So I want to get rid of the bigger creatures if we can. So I think we can take out Reidane and a Sungold Sentinel. Why not, right? Alright. We have a turn 2, turn 3, turn 4 play. I don't necessarily love this hand, but I don't... Alright, that's so wonderful. I don't want to mulligan it, because Luminarch Aspirant is one of the best cards in the deck, right? So... I'm doing that. So now we get to put the +1/+1 counter next turn in Thalia, then train the Hopeful Initiate. Oh, Skyclave Apparition is good. We're not attacking here, so we miss out on the counter here, but next turn we get the double Luminarch Aspirant. And I think the bigger and quicker we can make the Adeline. We know our opponent has a lot of 4/4s, right? So we want to make her just as big as she can frickin' be. I think. So our opponent does not have a counterspell. So I'm a little worried about the Wandering Emperor. But And with that, I mean just with the Hopeful Initiate. But I think if our opponent Wandering Emperor is to get rid of that, like, it's not the worst thing in the world. Oh, but they could plus. Okay. I was, if they Wandering Emperor and plus on the Skyclave Apparition, that would have been maybe a little bad. But this is looking like our opponent has a Depopulate or, like, another board wipe. They don't, so we win. Good. Alright. Huh. So, our opponent kept the 7-card hand. I don't love this hand because we have nothing on turn 1. And we really need to draw another land. But Luminarch Aspirant is one of the most powerful cards in our deck, so let's go. Unfortunate. Only if our hand did not have a duress target. So yeah, we want to Luminarch and get it as big as it can. But the important thing is this next turn where we get to Elite Spellbinder and see what's going on here. Or, Brutal Cathar to get rid of the token, so we don't have to worry about anything, is also pretty good. And the great thing about Brutal Catharing the token there, right, is we don't have to worry if the Brutal Cathar dies and our opponent gets something back. Alright, yeah. There we go. Our opponent probably needed a land. So, God, we didn't get to really see their deck as well as I would have liked. So I like Brutal Cathar against the Fable more than Skyclave Apparition, but maybe I do want Skyclave. I think I like Reidane. I don't know what to do. We didn't see a lot of their deck. I think I want a Guardian over maybe an Intrepid. We'll figure it out. A, B, C, D. Alright, turn 2, turn 3 play. Alright, Thalia's nice. They have, Voltage, or Raven. Oh, Ray of Enfeeblement is really, really good against us. A 1 mana literally kill anything in our deck. Okay. We want to keep the Legion Angel. We get rid of both adversaries. Oh, what a great top deck. Never punish. Ooh. Huh. So if we can get rid of Meat Hook here, right? Because if our opponent gets a land and Sorin, we get to... Okay. Not getting a land there was unfortunate. Legion Angel would have been so powerful. Alright. Because if our opponent, yeah, creates that, we get to kill it. And then we get to kill, the Sorin.
Tragedy befalls us all.
If we draw a land, it'll be wonderful because we get to play it turn to night and keep Wandering Emperor up. And I think that's really, really good here for us. So another Mountain, yeah. So what our opponent's gonna do is attack. Now our opponent could have a lot of interaction here. But we're plussing the Wandering Emperor, right?
I am the Emperor of Kanto, and I will protect
So
my
we
people.
still will have her. Alright, yeah. And so that's, like, obviously
Remember your
not
training.
the best thing in the world to have happened, but, you know. We get to untap and we get to decide what we want to do with her. Huh. Do we want to discard a card? So if our opponent has a red source, right, they'll be able to adversary into enfeeblement, which is very, very bad. But I don't want to just keep the Guardian up.
Show them how
Do you know what?
we greet our
Let's do
enemies.
it. Make our opponent, have the red land. And even then, if they do get to, do that, they're gonna have to attack a lot at the Wandering Emperor, and we still have a fort too, right? Which puts them on a 3-turn clock, which, you know, isn't the best, but I'm fine here. So the Emperor goes down to
Welcome rest
2.
in pieces.
Yeah, GG. Easy. Okay, everyone. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed those games, and I hope I didn't play too terribly. If you would like to watch me play Magic live, you can find me at twitch.tv/thenerdysteve. I'm also on Twitter. And yeah, so I hope to be making more videos soon, and thank you for watching. Have a great evening, day, morning, whatever. Bye.